The Director of Public Prosecution should have allowed the bribery case against incumbent Member of Parliament Eugene Hamilton to proceed in the court, says former government minister and social commentator Dwyer Astaphan in his latest commentary on Freedom 106.5 FM. Chairman of the opposition St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, Dr. Terence Drew, filed a case of bribery and treating against Mr. Hamilton, alleging that he committed acts of bribery in the lead-up to the 2020 general election. Dr. Drew was a candidate in that election contesting the constituency 8 seat, which Mr. Hamilton is the Member of Parliament. The case was discontinued by the DPP, Valson Graham, who claims that it did not stand a chance to succeed in the court. But Mr. Astaphan suggested that the DPP should have allowed the case through regardless.
In order to dispel any misgivings that the public might have with regard to justice being duly administered, given the relationship between the DPP and the minister, would it not have been better for the DPP to simply stay out of it, even after Magistrate Eddy had recused himself, especially if the case was so obviously weak as the DPP claims that it is?
According to Mr. Astaphan, it is in Mr. Hamilton's best interest for the case to proceed.
Even if Dr. Drew's case was too weak to pass the test of being successfully prosecuted, wouldn't it have been wiser to simply leave it alone, let the case proceed, let Dr. Drew suffer not just a legal defeat, but possibly also get political egg on his face? If I were Mr. Hamilton, I would have wanted the case to proceed. Why wouldn't I? Who would be afraid to face a challenge which he or she cannot lose?
Mr. Hamilton, in an interview with SK Newsline after the DPP's decision, was dismissive of the case.
It was important that he make that decision because actually I think the case is a waste of time. They already spent 8 Mondays, which is my usual cabinet day, to attend to these matters in the court, and prolonging it would have just been more time wasting because, like I said, the evidence provided to support the charges are incongruent with the charges. And so I totally agree. And as I said, if it had to go beyond this, I think that they would certainly have been embarrassed by the evidence that was presented in this case.
For Dr. Drew, he lamented that the DPP prevented his case from being heard as he has compelling evidence against Mr. Hamilton.
That great consideration was given. The evidence was looked at, seasoned people who had put it together and said, look, this is really grounds to really deal with the situation with what took place. Why am I bringing the case? I'm going to deal with that afterwards. Now, I want the public to know that the DPP has not met with me once. I think that is a travesty to the normal process of justice being dispensed. He has not met with me once. Imagine.
Since it was announced that he would take over the case?
He never met with me.
Dr. Drew lost the contest for the seat to Mr. Hamilton twice, in 2015 and again in 2020. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.